Welcome to this episode of The Real Event Producer, and we're talking about fuel stations, petrol stations, gas stations, and convenience stores with Stephen Bozdan. Stephen, welcome. First of all, tell us a little bit about your event and also your business around Forecourttech.
Yeah, hi Ralph, and thanks for inviting me on. Forecourttech was launched a couple, 2-3 years back at the time when technology was hitting the forecourt in a big way. It's all about technology that helps people optimize the operation of that forecourt and technology that helps to enhance the customer experience. And whilst we have a number of events in the industry that are generic in their nature, this is mine is an event that focuses in on that technology, those who produce it and those who buy into it.
I thought what was really interesting about your event, I mean, there were a few things actually that I want to dig into. First of all, let me ask you really simply, how was it moving to virtual, and what were some of the challenges and lessons that you learned?
Yeah, I think once you've moved to virtual, you're in a, as I did at the time, it became very difficult to encourage people to take part. The reason for that was simply that they have been used to that one-to-one contact, face-to-face contact. So yeah, they came a little bit kicking and shouting, but what then you had to do was you look at it, you think, okay, fine, they've bought into it. What can I do to keep them engaged? Because it's so easy for people to say, yes, okay, I'll come, thank you. For those that are hosted, and of course our event does host the buyer audience and the supplier audience that pay for the privilege of attending. But they do that based on guaranteed meetings. And so for us, it was so important to put together a program that was engaging. Not just a program that was engaging, that is conference presentations to pull those buyers in, but also it's so important to have a passionate, I would say a passionate moderator, somebody who's energetic, on the ball, and who can keep it together, pull it together, tie one thing to another, keep people engaged. And then of course, you can't just assume that people understand the technology of these things. So really you have to hold their hand and make sure they're aware of the technologies that they'll be using at the time. And I'm saying this now post-event. We weren't so clever leading into it, I'll be honest, and we've learned from that. So what I'm saying now is, having gone through a learning curve and looking at how we would approach it in the future.
So when you were putting your agenda together, what were some of the things you were thinking about to create a good virtual event?
Well, what's very important, so important, is making sure you qualify your audience. You know, it's easy to throw people together, come one, come all. You can't operate that way. We certainly can't. We're focused in on a specific area of the market. And so qualifying our people in terms of presenters and delegates who attended was the most important thing. Throw them together and you've got an event. And you've got an event where people want to engage and want to talk to one another, and that's how you create a success.
One of the things that I thought was interesting about you, your business, and how you approached Forecourttech, you ran a masterclass in the run-up to the event. So you ran a kind of little teaser that was an hour of different speakers to try and get people to be aware of the event and also bring in some leads, I think. How did that go for you? Because I think digital marketing for event organizers is kind of the brave new world. I don't think necessarily everybody's thought about this, that you can increase your reach.
I thought it worked very well. It certainly hit the mark with a lot of people, because generally speaking, you're sending out emails and flyers or whatever, however you approach it. You might be getting people, you might canvass people on the phone, although more and more these days, you try and call somebody, more likely to get them on the email or get a response via a text message. But the presentations that we put together worked very well. They created an interest. They certainly drew in more delegates who weren't aware, who saw it. However, they saw it through via the social media platforms we use, or it was reshared. Something that was passed on to other colleagues. So it did work very well. It gave people a more engaging view of what they could expect on the day.
Well, let's talk about the future. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but you're not just running this event, are you? You've kind of also got your own, I would say almost
Magazine?
like a magazine publishing empire, I was going to say.
I wish.
Tell us a little bit about how you see the future now.
Well, as regards, we have an online magazine, e-magazine as we call it, which just reflects industry month to month and keeps us in touch with what's going on. It's important because otherwise you go from one year to another with an event with no real interaction with your clients, other than say, how about coming to next year, to the conference next year? And really, what we're trying to do is stay in touch with our audience, understand what's going on in the marketplace, and through the publication, we can do that by inviting news items, looking around the industry, see what's out there in terms of what's being reported on, report on that, feature some of it, and stay engaged. And through that medium, it gives us another outlet to promote what we're doing going forward.
You also did something quite clever with the agenda, I think. I mean, I think it came from your physical event where meetings are really important, but you were very clear from the start that you didn't want to do, say, an 8-hour day of streaming content, that you wanted people to do different things. Can you just talk to us about the thinking behind that?
Well, nobody's going to focus in on one element all the time, and you need and what came through from our physical event, and that's why we used it virtually, was that people like the change of format. So here's a presentation, there's a break, then you've got 3 or 4 meetings lined up, because again, what we do is we ask our people to pre-schedule meetings. So even before they attend the event on the day, virtual, physical, whatever, they know who they're meeting and at what time. So we mixed it between presentations, break, meetings, throughout the 2 days of our event. And again, the feedback from that was very positive. And you have to understand that the content of some of the presentations was more relevant to some delegates than others. So you do get a fall away, but that's expected because not everything's going to be relevant to everybody. But overall, it worked very well, and that's the format we'll go forward with.
Well, Stephen, thank you very much for talking to us about Forecourttech and your plans for the future. It was a pleasure working with you on that event, and I think I learned a few tricks as well, certainly about agenda design. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that and look forward to working with you again, Ralph.